Book of Exodus, which is the second book in the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, chapter 1, very first chapter, beginning with verse 8. Many years later, a new king came to power. He did not know what Joseph had done for Egypt, and he told the Egyptians, "There are too many of those Israelites in our country, and they're becoming more powerful than we are. If we don't outsmart them, their families will keep growing larger. And if our country goes to war, they could easily fight on the side of our enemies and escape from Egypt." The Egyptians put slave bosses in charge of the people of Israel, tried to wear them down with hard work. Those bosses forced them to build the cities of Pithom and Ramses, where the king could store his supplies. But even though the Israelites were mistreated, their families grew larger, and they took over more land. Because of this, the Egyptians hated them worse than before, made them work so hard that their lives were miserable. The Egyptians were cruel to the people of Israel and forced them to make bricks and to mix mortar and to work in the fields. Moses, the Exodus. It's an incredible story of how God tied together a group of people, the Hebrews, the Israelites, with this man, this unlikely leader, Moses, a man haunted by his past mistakes, reluctant to be a leader, and yet became one of the giants of world history. In his story, we see the potential for deliverance and the possibility of meeting our own unique destiny. You know, when you hear the word destiny, I think some people are like, "Oh, that's not for me, Pastor Rick." It sounds big, destiny. But here's what I want you to know today. From a biblical perspective, from a Christian perspective, everyone has a destiny. This is how God has designed our lives. We all have a destiny. So try not to think of it as gigantic, and just think of it as the fulfillment of your life's potential. The living out of God's plan for your life, your destiny. Deliverance and destiny. God works. I want you to see how God works in this series, Exodus, God and Moses. How God works. I want you to know how God works. I want you to know that God is present. I want you to know that God cares. Some of you that I'm talking to today, you are hurting today. You're in pain. You are suffering. You're unhappy. You wonder where God is in the midst of all of your troubles and tribulations. And this message is exactly for you. And I would say this: if you're not presently in that situation, then you're in one of two other places. Either you've just come out of it, or you're going to be going into it. This is the nature of life. Life is a test. Life is hard, and God never promised us anything different. But what he did promise is that he would be with us. In this first chapter of the book of Exodus, we start with these people, the Israelites, the Hebrew people, and their situation that they find themselves in. And it is a bad, bad situation. It is a very, very difficult place that they are in and where they find themselves. And what I want you to know right from the start of this series, right from the start of this book of Exodus, is this seminal truth: hard times don't erase God's promises. When you are in hard times, God has not forgotten about you, nor has he forgotten the things that he has promised to do.